All right, this is Chris.
This is Manny.
And we're Cold Blank.
Cold Blank.
And you're listening to us on newestra.com.
Yeah, boy.
So what got you guys into music?
I guess into writing music, I would say that probably it was also my parents. Kind of, they would always ask me like what I was interested in, hobbies and stuff. And I always told them that I wanted to play an instrument. And then they bought me a trumpet. So I was like, say in 5th grade, and then after that they would encourage me to pursue like whatever I wanted to do with it, and like eventually I got into songwriting, and then I wanted to start a band with some friends, and then that led to doing something with like rock and electronic music, and then from there I don't know, I just really got into like dance music because it started to like, maybe it's not as popular as it is now, but there was definitely like a new movement going on that was rising because of bands or groups like Justice. And I think that's how we ended up meeting.
Yeah, and me basically just going out to shows, checking out bands, and that's how I got into it.
Yeah, once I grew up, I started going to those shows, Well, I don't mean like...
Well, I'm a little bit older.
Yeah, I mean like... I mean, I couldn't go to half of the... clubs and stuff he was going to because I wasn't even 18 yet, So, like when we met, I was still underage. And
how many little boy?
How many gigs did we play together before I even turned 18?
I don't know. A few. You're man. At least like three or four.
Yeah,
3 or 4 gigs.
And like, we even played some bars and stuff before I was even allowed. Like I would have to wait to get in and like get out. See, nowadays there's exceptions for artists like who are under 21 because DJing's so popular. But back in the day, I wasn't even allowed to go into Vegas clubs. They would catch my fakes and stuff. So it was like, it's crazy.
That one was a good one.
How did you guys meet?
Basically through the band scene. My brother was also in a band, and they used to play like similar shows, and that's how I started running into him at parties. And then, I used to play in bands too, but at that time I already started DJing. So I was back in the day they used to have like parties with like maybe 3 bands and 1 DJ, and I would be DJing in my brother's band or his band, or they would be playing.
Yeah, we had like a lot of mutual like friends in like the band and DJ scene. So I guess I would go out with some of my friends out to like Montebello, Pico Rivera, like East LA, wherever there was good music, because I am from Arcadia and I moved there from Duarte. And I mean, out there's nothing but like house parties with hip hop and, top 40 stuff. So when I wanted to listen to like electro at parties, or when I tried to play it over there, it didn't really go too well. So I went where the music took me. So me and my friends explored and realized that like the bands that had a similar sound were like in another area. And sure enough, it led me to like end up, actually Manny hit me up to play his party eventually. So he wanted to book my band to play like one of the shows that he was DJing at. Never really worked out because of like scheduling, and it was our fault because I didn't have reliable band members and stuff. But once I started DJing, we met up and we had like a session, worked together in the studio, and we were into the same underground producers and stuff, so we like hit it off right away.
Now, when you guys do your Burn the Fire podcast, do you guys mix separately?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just mix it up.
It's not really like a separate thing, but it's one thing when we do a Cold Blank mix as opposed to doing like the radio show, where we each want to show our personality a little bit, in the sense of like we each will take 15 minutes to like play what we're into, because even though we make music together, I'll definitely say that we each have our own style. Yeah. Definitely, like we each kind of have our own like secret tracks we'll play, and I mean, at our gigs, they're like they just come off as Cold Blank, but we know when we hear our sets who played what. Like it's something that we definitely each bring our own kind of like style to the table.
Do you guys try to outdo each other?
Sometimes
we go, check this out.
or sometimes I'll
check
have
this banger out right here. Check it out.
There are times where one of us will look at the other and be like, "What is this? This is awesome." or like, you know, like I'll purposely, you know, keep a track hidden until the gig, and I'll play it and like look over and be like, let's see if he asks me what this is. And I know that like if it actually is like a massive track, like by the end of it, I will get it, and I usually always do whenever I think like he's gonna ask me, and he does. And I think we both do it to each other all the time. It's just
fun.
like
It's fun. You're like, what?
It keeps it interesting because it kind of motivates both of us to stay on top of our game with fresh music. And we do run a label,
Yeah.
so we are like on top of demos and what's going on Beatport. You know, we're competitive, like in that aspect of releasing. We like to see what everyone's up to, and so we're always listening to our competitors and also what else is out there.
And that's
You know,
another great thing about doing the radio show, like just keeping up to date with what's out there.
not even just what's out there. We also showcase everything we're going to release.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Our artists, what they're doing on other labels. Some of like our featured artists like DJ Arcade just finished a remix for Dimac, and you know, we got him that, and we want to keep getting our artists involved in like some legit labels as well.
You were talking about your record label. What was the driving force behind starting that?
I think we just wanted a brand because we started throwing parties together too, and like, and we
well, at first it started like more of an event company.
we just wanted a brand for like the events, because I mean, back in the day there was like dozens of flyer parties going around MySpace. You know, you would see bulletins and like see all of these like animated little things, like, you know, bring your own beer and like all that kind of stuff, and Nas and you would just see that, and it would like, you would be like, you know, I don't really want to throw that kind of party. So even though in a sense we were throwing it with that idea of the underground party, we put like the Burn the Fire brand on it, you know, to make it stand out a little bit, give it like a name and give it a profile. And then we also kept all that out because we had it at a venue that had its own like bar and stuff, so it would separate like 21 and like younger from separate areas. So it was a little bit more legit. We had like legit artists coming in, like DJ Bam Bam, Will Bailey.
Well, we had Wolfgang Gartner before he broke his leg.
But he's he broke his leg and canceled like 3 dates, including like our party and like Iceland and a few others. But I think
That was going to be my birthday party.
that would have been like a really big stepping stone for the event, and we probably would have kept going with it if that would have happened. But I mean, long story short, that didn't happen. But look at us now, you know. So I mean, it's almost like it happened for a reason.
So where do you feel more comfortable, in the studio or on stage?
I like playing out gigs.
I prefer to play gigs,
Touring.
but you know what? There's something magical about the studio that I felt like in the past 2 weeks, because we've been doing a lot of work recently. We had like a few remixes, and we have a lot of like collaborations on the table that we're like trying to work on. And so we've been busy in the studio
for the last few weeks.
and I have loved it to the point where on all of my free time now I'm producing, and it was like that for a while, and then I kind of got sick of the studio and wanted to just play out gigs, and now I'm back in that studio mode.
Yeah, we've been touring out for like a few months now.
I think when you get excited about, you know, new material and you start learning new studio tricks, and you kind of get like just the experience of touring and hearing a bunch of stuff, it inspires you. And right now I feel like we're in a really good place as far as like where like the creativity comes in the studio. So we just want to bang out all the magic that's inside, and then just like, you know, get back to touring again.
Yeah.
When you're in the studio, how do you two divide creative responsibilities?
I want to get into the way we produce Louder Than Bombs, because that's a good way to describe some of the ways we've been producing lately, where Manny wrote 6 or 7, you know, bass patches on Massive on his own time. And then when we came into the studio, showed them to me, and we started arranging them together. And I was getting a headache. I was like, this is too weird. This is too complex. Like, I need a break. I'm going to go get like an iced tea. I'll be right back. And then when I came back, he had already arranged what we had started, but taken it like to another area. And then I worked on it for another like 15 minutes, and then we had a whole drop. Yeah. So it was like we each took our own stab at it and gave each other space, and then it worked. But I feel like there always has to be a main idea now in a patch. You have to come up with a sound and then like try rhythms with it, and until you get something that sounds good, you know, because it's not like we're playing keyboards anymore. Now it's just like clicking and pitching stuff and, you know, automating it. And it's knobs. It's messing with all these controls. And it's like, does this sound good? Okay, now let me check it on my phone. Now let me check it on my laptop speakers. Now let me check it on the monitors in my car. Okay, it sounds good everywhere. Let's keep going, you know, because That has happened
Yeah.
too. You hear a track, you're on your headphones, you're like, this is amazing, and then you hear it in your car, and you're like, oh, it's in the wrong key. Like, and you can't hear that on headphones, but you get clarity as you go around. And I guess I would say that lately though, it's been more about being creative with the sounds and with the patches.
Yeah.
I feel like the writing process to us is very like, come up with an idea, we'll talk about it, and then we go from there. But we always want our bass lines and our drops to be the priority and be like the standout of the track.
So did you go about producing the songs that are on the album differently than your singles?
Well, we've never done a dubstep track before that, like ever. And
I think that when we would produce singles, we would always have this mindset of an idea, and then we would follow through with it and make the track. Like I said, we discuss the idea, we make the track, and then we'd finish it off, make a few changes, whatever. But with the album concept, we were just working on, I think we started out with one collab in April in San Francisco last year with Electric Soulside.
Yeah.
And then we just kept making a few tracks because on a collaboration, we weren't sure how we were going to release it, if we were going to make another track, if it was going to be an EP, or if it was, if it was just going to be a single, where it was going to go. I mean, we have our label, but it could have gone somewhere else. And so we just kept producing. We produced like 3 or 4 tracks because we always bring our best every year to whenever we tour, like down under in Australia, or when we go to Miami. It's like a showcase for us. We go out there and we give our all with all of our best tracks of the year. So we have like 2 points, which is March, and then for Miami, and then also in August, September for like Australia. So we were putting these tracks together for Australia, and we came up with like, I think 3 or 4.
Yeah, we had a lot of them bombs, Bloodthirst,
and we worked on Fire in Australia and Sydney.
Yeah.
Like the first gig out there, we
hooked up with Neon Stereo out there.
He invited us over to his studio, and we started working on some music. And he is signed over to Ministry of Sound over there. So I mean, he was a really cool guy. He hosted us, took us out to dinner, and we produced that track with him. And it got support from Knife Party now, which is really awesome. But as we kept going, we just realized that we started to like bundle these tracks up together. I mean, the process was like our usual singles. We just kept making tracks and collaborations, and then it got to the point where we realized that we had a lot of tracks, and like none of them, we had no schedule for any of them to come out yet. So we just, it felt like a whole concept though, because it was like a year-long process to make these like 8 tracks. And then we're re-releasing 2 of our biggest tracks on the album as well. So it is a 10 being released album, like 10 tracks, but 8 of them are new and 2 are being released.
How did you guys hook up with Blake Miller from the Moving Units?
Well, Blake Miller, he's freaking always been around with us.
Blake Miller's been around since around the time me and Manny first met.
Yeah, I booked him for my birthday party, and that's the first time I ever met him at my birthday party.
I was a huge fan of Moving Units, and I would go out to their gigs and get kicked out of them for drinking underage and stuff. Like, it was really fun. They were a band, but it felt like what your modern day like party like at Control would be.
Yeah.
It was like a
dance
huge
party.
Yeah, it was a huge crowd of people going out to dance for a band. And that didn't really exist back, like nowadays there's like a ton of bands that, do that style, and they're headlining like events all over the world with like, Calvin Harris and stuff. And those bands, like, they get a front because electronic music is so big right now. But back in the day, Moving Units wasn't really that electronic. They were just like, or like an indie rock, dance rock kind of style. And everyone wanted to dance for them.
Yeah.
So I was into that.
Yeah, the same thing. I was at the shows also.
And once Blake started DJing, I wanted to go see what it was all about because, coming from that, I knew he was going to have a cool style. And so I went out to that party because of Blake. And then coincidentally, I realized, it's this dude who I know, this DJ, is throwing this party. So we met that night, and then we kept bumping into each other, like almost like it felt like every other weekend after that for a while, because I was, like I said, I was going out to these parties and networking. I was throwing my own parties too, and from there, I guess we kept playing with Blake after we started working together.
Then we opened up for Moving Units at the Glass House too. He got us to open for him.
Yeah, he hit us up. I think before we played with him in Mexico too, that crazy festival.
Oh yeah,
we played like some like huge festival with like 8,000 people with him, or like 2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
And that was when we were first starting off. And it was crazy because we had never played to a crowd that big. And still to this day, it's one of the biggest events we played.
Yeah.
It's probably like maybe like the 5th or 6th biggest event. So, I mean, it's crazy to think that it was one of our first gigs with him. And that's when we actually like, you know, hung out and partied with him. He was actually telling us that was one of the last times he partied. Until more recently, he started partying again a little. But yeah, it's like I feel like he's been around since the beginning of like Cold Blank's formation.
He's always around somehow.
Yeah. And, you know, now we're releasing his material. You know, me and some of my artists produced 2 tracks for him. And now he has that aside from just like the track with us. And it's a cool little release that we just put out. And I'm sure it's going to get him a lot of hype for sure.
All right. So when can people catch the album?
August 6th, it drops on our label on Beatport. And I guess like 2 months after, it'll be everywhere.
Yeah, like iTunes.
Yeah.
And all the other
So
stuff.
I guess the iTunes release will be October 6th or like
October.
first Monday of October, I think.
So what can people expect from the album?
I would say mainly it's like a big electro album. It's house music. They're all big bass heavy tracks, but they all have their own unique kind of rhythm to it. Like we try to write very unique bass lines and very unique rhythms on every single one. So each one has its own personality. But I think from like just like a outside perspective, they all kind of have a similar kind of driving heavy style to them. They all work on the dance floor at peak time. So it's like a peak time album. It's not like we wrote a concept album where you have the ballad and all this. It's like, no, we're just going fucking hard.
Just bangers and bangers.
Just bangers and bangers and bangers and just show them that that's what we're all about.
I know you guys have been touring a lot. Any crazy stories?
This is like uncensored or? I don't know. I don't want to burn myself or anything. We have fun.
I'll just say this. I've gone through one iPhone this year and
No,
like
we've
one
gone
cracked
through how
screen.
many? No, like 2 or 3.
No, I've gone through one.
2?
One of them in Miami.
One fell in a pool.
One of them, the back case got broken in Texas.
But yeah, people say we party too hard, but I don't think.
I don't
so.
think we party too hard. I just feel like everyone doesn't party hard enough.
Yeah.
Because I used to party harder than this. Like right now.
I know.
well,
Now I'm like kind of calm.
See, but then
now.
there's a difference because now I'm like I'm in a like.
Yeah, I remember I'm in my chilling phase, and you're like still raging hard, and I still feel like in my chill phase, people think I rage too hard.
It's crazy because I feel like back in the day, I used to be able to kill a whole bottle of Jaeger and like be fine and drive and be cool. And it was just like, how can I do that? I remember one day I drank like not even like close to half and I blacked out. It's just crazy how your tolerance changes and stuff when you're not like going out every day and partying like every weekend. And we have a lot of responsibilities now, but I would say that this year I've let loose a lot and had a lot of fun. That's why my phone's been breaking. But hey, you know what? Like live in the moment and just keep moving forward and do your best.
Sure.
You know, as
Just
long as you're not lazy and you're actually working, then then have as much fun as you want. You know.
What are you guys listening to right now?
I'm listening to a lot of hip hop right now.
Oh, that's true.
I've been like super like hip hop right now, like Tyga and stuff like that. So I'm like all up in that mixtape shit.
I would say that I've been listening to a lot of bands that some of my friends have been showing me, specifically like Mike Snow, Waves. I like the new Strokes album. It's pretty cool. And Two Door Cinema Club. We went to go see them actually together, and they're pretty sick live.
Yeah, they actually sound like the actual CD.
I wish we could have gone to go see the Hives. I'm a really huge fan of theirs.
They
And,
play with the Rapture, right?
they did play with the Rapture between Coachella week, and like I didn't go.
I always find out about stuff after.
We found out the day after, and then they were playing like somewhere in San Diego, and I was like, I'm not gonna bust a mission like out there. But
or it's either like one of our gig days and we can't go.
you remember that one time when we were going to Korea, and I was like, I'm gonna go see somebody.
Oh
with
yeah,
Moving
yeah.
Units, or-
No, yeah. You said you're gonna go.
I think it was one of Moving Units'
I was
last
like, all right,
shows.
peace out. I'm going to Korea.
Yeah, I was like, I think I'm gonna go see Moving Units. I told Manny, I was like, so don't book anything on this date. He's like, all right, have fun. I'm going to South Korea. I was like, oh shit, we're already booked. I almost bought my ticket.
Yeah.
You have anything else in the works that you could share with us?
We have like a lot of collabs
Yeah.
starting up.
Just big collabs.
It's cool because I feel like our album hasn't dropped yet, and yet we have all of this on the table that we're just working on. That's, I mean, like we didn't even really talk about, Andy Taylor on the album, which you did, mention Duran. That and working with Blake has opened so many doors for us. And we
also have the Cypress Hill remix coming out.
we did just finish a remix of Cypress Hill with Rusco featuring Damian Marley, which is also another really big remix that we're
That should be dropping
really excited.
within like maybe a month or two, maybe.
It should. I think they said June. The EP was going to drop, but I think the single already dropped like in May. So I mean, it should be coming out pretty soon. And Chris White also has, White has a remix coming out on there as well. That's in the same style. That's really badass as well.
And they're just touring, hitting Australia and New Zealand again.
We already also have singles in the works and some collabs even with some friends. I started a session with Eric, who's from Laser Tag, now known as Schoolboy, and also collaborating with a few more people. I can't really say anyone yet because no one's confirmed, but I will say that we'll for sure nail all of these collabs down like within like the month, I think.
It's gonna be good.
We just have a lot of work to catch up on to get all of these collabs going because I mean basically I feel like everyone's waiting for us to make the first move, and we're like, all right, let's do it. Let's get them going.
Anything else you want to say to your fans?
We just had a new release out today, a new track called Deception.
With Blake.
With Blake.
See,
yeah.
he's always around.
He's always around. I would just want to say thanks for the support that our fans gave us on our first single, Louder Than Bombs. It's kind of crazy to see like your fans supporting you even when it's not like your, safe kind of release.
Your safe place.
It's not like a release that we like really planned out too well. It was just more of a instinct, a gut like decision by us. We just kind of were like, let's just throw this one out there first, see where it gets us, and it got us like MTV coverage and stuff. And it wasn't something that like we planned or expected, but it ended up being a really great first single, even though like ideally I didn't see it that way, but I feel like this track is probably the most well-balanced track that we have. So I'm really excited about this one. And I just want to say in advance, thank you to all our fans for backing us and always being there.
Supporting us from the start.
Us, especially on a front like Beatport, because it's so competitive. And I just feel like that's really what's gotten us as far as we've gotten. So big shout to everyone who's still supporting legal music sales, I guess. Because I mean, like,
Or illegal.
like anyone, like Blake says, like Skrillex says, like everyone says these days, like if you can't afford it, just get it. And I believe in that. Like I do believe in free music, and I believe that it's really when it comes down, when you're a fan, you're going to go support the artist when they perform. That's what we prefer anyway.
Yeah.
We love performing. We love DJing and the music in itself. Like you don't need to buy it. You could just go on YouTube every day and refresh a link. You know what I mean? Make a playlist. Like I don't care. That's why we even on our label YouTube page, we post the full track. Like we don't hold back, and we post it in HD. So it's full quality. And we post the wave in the audio. Like we're not hiding it. If someone wants to rip it, they can get it at full quality. We're not like being stingy here. I feel like our career is driven by Beatport through Hype Machine and through blog coverage and all that stuff. So, I mean, whether or not, fans or DJs are supporting it, it just helps us and continue to do what we're doing. And I mean, that's why we're here, because of our fans. So we're really grateful, and hope we can continue to do this forever.